Hello everyone, and welcome to my CSU channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Julie Chrisley appeals court vacates sentencing. Going home soon? Julie Chrisley was incorrectly sentenced for losses that she was accused of. That is the news that Chrisley Knows Best fans heard after Savannah Chrisley updated on the outcome of the oral appeal for Todd Chrisley and his wife. The news arrived on Friday, June 21st. So, she will be remanded back to the district court for an amendment to her sentence and possibly to her record. Julie Chrisley will likely go home sooner rather than later. Many people believe that Todd Chrisley and his wife are innocent. Meanwhile, even those who don't like them seemed a bit taken aback at the length of the sentences. The news about the appeal court is good news. Recall, the mom of Savannah Chrisley ended up being charged with more offenses than her husband. Between them, they currently serve their original sentence of a combined 19 years. Julie Chrisley's sentence had been vacated, per Channel 2. The article cited court documents as saying, Julie Chrisley served over a year in a Kentucky facility, and according to her daughter, prison conditions are not good. At one stage, Savannah mentioned that poison snakes had access to the prison. Strip searches were also alleged to have happened. Even with 2 years shaved off her original 7-year sentence, staying behind bars for a long time seemed shocking. Especially as she raised minor children, Chloe and Grayson. According to Angus Lee law firm, when a court vacates a sentence, it means that a person might have been incorrectly sentenced. In Julie's case, it seems that the court sentenced her harshly without the appeal judges being able to find the evidence to back up her sentence. Notably, a person can be retried, but it usually leads to reduced time or an expunging of the record. That doesn't necessarily mean that Savannah Chrisley's mom gets to go home this week. The appeals court referred the case back to the district court. Originally, AP reported that Todd and Julie were found guilty of conspiring to defraud the IRS and tax evasion, and Julie Chrisley was convicted of wire fraud and obstruction of justice. But it seems she will likely get home a lot sooner than previously thought. You need to know that Todd Chrisley was not found innocent of anything, and for now, his sentence will remain unchanged. However, fans of the couple seem thrilled for Julie, and they praised Savannah Chrisley for fighting for her parents. Here are some of their thoughts. Julie Chrisley had always been a woman who held tightly to Grace, even in places where Grace felt almost impossible to find. But on this particular morning, inside a quiet legal office in Atlanta, even Grace wavered. Her attorney's hands trembled slightly as he held the document that could alter everything. Julie, he said, his voice softer than she'd ever heard it. The appeals court vacated your sentencing. Those words, vacated your sentencing, floated toward her like they were suspended in honey.
Thick.
Heavy.
Sweet.
Unbelievable. Julie blinked.
Once. Twice.
She didn't breathe. Well, what does that really mean? She whispered, afraid to let hope make a fool out of her. It means you'll be resentenced, he explained. And given the errors found, there is a significant possibility you could be released pending further proceedings. Possibly even soon. The world tilted. Julie grabbed the sides of the table, steadying herself as a rush of emotions, fear, relief, disbelief, gratitude, crashed into her like a wave. Prison had changed her, reshaped her, whittled her down, and built her up in strange, unexpected ways. But the dream of returning home, of stepping back into the world where her family lived and waited, had never left her. And now that dream was no longer impossible. It was close. Savannah gets the call. Savannah Chrisley had just dropped Grayson at football practice and Chloe at her music lesson when her phone lit up. She expected a spam call, a random producer, maybe even her father calling from lockup. What she didn't expect was her mother's attorney. Savannah's stomach flipped as she answered. Hello. Savannah, he said, I think you'll want to sit down. Her heart froze. In her world, that sentence had usually meant bad news. But then he continued, the court vacated your mom's sentencing. Everything inside Savannah cracked open. Vacated? She gasped, her voice trembling. As in she may be coming home. Savannah covered her mouth with both hands. Tears burst forward before she could stop them. The months of exhaustion, the endless legal battles, the podcasts, the interviews, the criticisms, the sleepless nights where she cried herself into silence. All of it broke loose. "Are you serious?" she whispered. "Yes," he said gently. "We'll know more soon. But get ready." Savannah didn't remember hanging up. She didn't remember the moment she slid down the kitchen cabinet to the floor, her knees pulling to her chest. All she knew was that for the first time in a very long time, she could picture a future where she wasn't carrying everything alone. A future where her mother was home. A future that felt like sunlight again. Inside the walls, Julie gets ready. Back at the prison, Julie walked the yard quietly, her mind spinning. The news had already begun spreading among the women. News traveled fast behind bars, even faster than in the outside world. Some inmates hugged her. Others congratulated her with cautious optimism. A few asked, half joking, half hopeful, what she'd cook them as a celebratory goodbye meal. But deep down, Julie was scared to believe it. She had counted too many days, lived too many routines, watched too many seasons slip past through razor wire and steel bars. Hope was dangerous in a place like this. It could lift you only to slam you down harder. Still, she felt something today she hadn't felt in months. Butterflies. Real, fluttering, living butterflies stirring in her stomach. She found herself imagining the little things she missed. The smell of Savannah's perfume, Grayson's deepening voice, the softness of Chloe's hair when she ran into her arms after school. She imagined her own bed, her own kitchen, her own life. Then, almost involuntarily, she pictured Todd. How he would react. What he would say. Whether he'd let himself cry or try to hide it with humor. She knew him. He would be thrilled, but also devastated he wasn't going home with her. Their relationship had always been intertwined so tightly that imagining freedom without him felt wrong, but she also knew that one person getting out could be the first domino. Julie could be the start. Todd, here's the news. Across state lines, Todd Chrisley sat in a cold visitation room waiting for a chaplain when his counselor rushed in with a sheet of paper in his hand.
"Chrisley," he said.
"You need to see this." Todd read the first line, and his throat tightened. He read the second line, and tears blurred the page. He had never been a man afraid to show emotion, yet this moment felt too big for words. Her sentence, vacated. Possible release.
Soon.
Julie, his Julie, might be leaving prison. Going home. Back to their kids. Back to her life. Back to herself. Todd leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. "Thank you, God," he whispered.